Hey everybody, this is Mike from the Hideaway Homestead, and on this week's episode we're going to be finally getting around to giving a homestead tour. So we're going to go pretty much around the entire property and give you all a glimpse of kind of, you know, where things are, what we're planning on doing in various locations. If you like today's episode, click like down below. And if you like the content that we're producing each week, consider hitting subscribe. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hop on the side-by-side, and then we'll get this tour started. We're going to go ahead and start the tour here, and this is pretty much the end of our driveway. Actually, let me turn around. So you can see the side-by-side, and then there's the main road. And the driveway is pretty long. We're a ways back in there, well outside a mile. So so like even the post office won't deliver packages for the most part up to where we're at. UPS and FedEx will, but the USPS won't. We tend to have to run into town to pick up any packages that won't fit in our mailbox. And if you didn't see, we did put up new mailboxes so that we could get the packages in there. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link up here at the top. I'm gonna go ahead and hop in the side-by-side and then start hitting up the drive here, and I'll stop possibly a couple of times. We have to cross the creek 3 times before we make it to the house. So you can see here, this is the first creek crossing that we have to go over. And the creek's, it's a little dry, it's not too bad. We've had a lot of rain lately. You can see here. And there's kind of an outlet pipe down here as well. Let's go ahead and head over to the next crossing. All right, we're here at the next crossing, and you can see it's the water's a little bit deeper. It's the same creek, and you can see, you know, it kind of goes across here. There's a lot of cement. You can see the water's actually been cutting a channel through this. I mean, at some point we're probably going to have to clean this up and fix it up, but it's not a high priority. It's nothing that needs to be done right now. And there are like little tadpoles and fish in here, like little minnows. I'll see if I can't get you a shot of one of them. So at some point, we're considering putting maybe a big beam in here with a big sign over top saying the Hideaway Homestead. We were thinking about maybe running some sort of entrance arch here, which I thought would look pretty cool. It's just something we were considering, maybe making it completely out of wood and having it carved out at the top that just says Hideaway Homestead. So just, you know, something nice, aesthetically pleasing. It actually, the creek goes underneath and it goes into this pipe over here, and it goes across and then it lets out. There's actually a pipe in through here too, but this thing's gotten a lot of debris in it, and that's kind of preventing it from going out on the other side. So that's probably going to be a project at some point, is to clean it up so that this can help out too, because the reality is when this thing overflows, this whole area is just sweeping and rushing with water. But you can see down through here how the creek's running. And we're about to head up the mountain now, up towards the house. Something I think that's neat is that you can see here, we actually have a peach tree that seems to have volunteered itself over here into the woods. And we've actually had that happen quite a bit. There's a lot of peach trees spread out around here. We think it's probably from the deer eating the peaches, carrying them off, and then dropping the stones out in the woods. But pretty neat that we have these peach trees just kind of showing up at random. You come around that switchback, and then you've got mine and Vanessa and the kids' house here. Chris's house is behind it a little ways further down the road. And then, you know, we have the chickens here on the left. These are all fruit trees here on the right-hand side. So that's going to be a peach tree, an apple tree, and then 2 pear trees. And then there's actually a peach tree here on the left. Like I said, they seem to be volunteered all over the place. So there's one here on the left. So I don't know if you saw the video, and I'll post the link up above, but we went through and did a chicken coop build, and this is the chicken coop. So yeah, back this out a little bit so you can see everything. All right, and something that you did not see that we did after the fact was I put this run in, and so what I did was I went ahead and put some posts in. These are cemented into the ground about 2.5 to 3 feet down, and we went ahead and just put some chicken wire and some hardware cloth for predators along the bottom. But you can see the chickens have a ramp that Vanessa had put together for them to get in and out, and we can actually tie that off at the top. We put some framing along the top so that no hawks or any other airborne predators could get in through the top. And something that I thought was really cool was I left the, there was a tree that was back here. I left it back in here, and I put the, I left one of the limbs of the tree sticking out. So we have the food bucket hanging off that, the auto feeder, But the chickens like to get on top of that too and just sit, especially the rooster, because he thinks he's obviously the king of the domain here. But yeah, the chickens really seem to like it. Something I did want to note real quick too is where we have this chicken coop, we're gonna probably eventually do one a little bit further down the road, and it's gonna mirror. It's gonna kind of look almost exactly like this one. Might be a little bit different, but and then what we're gonna do is that one's gonna be primarily used for meat chickens. So we're kind of considering that. We've also been considering with meat chickens, maybe just doing a tractor, a chicken tractor. And if you haven't seen how that works, I would highly recommend checking out like Justin Rhodes, and I'll post the link up above, and you can check out his video on kind of how the chicken tractor works. But we were considering doing that for the front yard and and moving it along. Now, I think with our front yard, and actually I can kind of show you, it's a lot of like pasture area up here in the front. I think the plan is that what we'd like to do, let me switch you around. Eventually, I mean, I don't want to cut all the trees down here at the property, because that's one of the reasons why we love the house so much and the area. But I think what we're going to do is we're probably going to clear out some of the trees here on this line. Namely because there's really amazing views of the mountains behind it, but also because that can help us kind of extend this a little bit further. And we may end up fencing this whole area in. And something we've considered has been maybe getting a couple of horses. But you know, when you get a horse, you really want to make sure they have a lot of room to run around and play. You don't want to leave them in a really tight area. Or we were considering maybe getting a cow or two, and getting some beef steers, or something along those lines. But we were thinking like that tree line back there, if we were to cut that out, we could probably put some buildings back there, like a stable or something, along that line. A little bit further down the road here, and not far, just a little bit down the road here. But this was the temporary run that we had put together. While we had the chickens, but we were trying to get the permanent coop put together. So you can see it's a little overgrown. This probably needs to be taken down, and then we need to cut through here. The funny thing is we were throwing a lot of chicken scratch out for the chickens, and now we've got some corn growing back in here, so it's just kind of funny. But yeah, we'll probably be taking this down. I think I am going to build some sort of chicken tractor or something that we can have on hand, though, for when we do need to have a temporary run, like if one of the chickens gets sick and we need to separate them from the flock. So if we come up a little bit this way, we have some random stuff sitting around. I've got my trailer, some of my attachments for the tractor, which I really need to get out of the weather. But if we switch over to this way, you can see we have an overhang here at the property. This is where I keep the tractor. I keep our zero-turn mower. I keep a lot of stuff here. I've got a push mower, a generator, just a lot of tools and things that we're using for outside. It's a little bit cluttered back in here, keeping in mind that we only moved into the property the very end of January. So we really haven't been here that long. We've been trying to get a lot of other stuff done, the chickens, things of that nature. But I've got some tools hanging on the back and kind of in here. And over on this side, I think, well, what we've been doing is, on this side, what we've been doing is we have been taking apart our pallets. If I come this way, you can see we still have a ton of pallets here. But what we've been doing is we've been taking apart the pallets and just kind of getting the wood pulled apart. I'm probably going to put some sort of storage solution in here so that I can start storing the wood a little bit better, maybe along this wall. I think in the future, though, what I'd like to do is I'd like to turn this section into some sort of metalworking blacksmithing shop. So when I was growing up, I did a lot of metalworking and stuff, especially towards the end of high school. And I did some blacksmithing. I've made a sword. I've made some small, just odds and ends, things that you would typically start out blacksmithing with, like nails, things of that nature. So this is definitely something that's on my wish list. I'd like to get a wood-fired forge going, and get a anvil, get my, get tongs, hammer, all the tools of the trade, a bellows, get things that I want kind of set up in here and treat this like a blacksmithing shop. The cool thing though is I'd like to try to get it set up in such a way that we could still technically park a small vehicle in here if we had to, if the weather got bad or something along those lines. But yeah, definitely a future thing. This would be certainly something we put on the channel that you all could watch as we kind of transform this area. So I'm not going to spend too much time on like the inside of the house. That's kind of our some of that's kind of our personal private space. But I will talk a little bit about the house. One area that I'm really starting to like here lately has been our patio, and it's got a pond that's attached to it. And you can see here we like to kind of chill out here, have fires. When friends and family are over, we like to kind of sit out and just kind of relax. So this is definitely an important area for us here at the house. It's kind of just the family communal area where we can chill out. And there's Belle having a good old time. And here comes William. Something too that I wanted to kind of show you all, which I thought was pretty neat, is the original road up to the house, which was really Chris's house. It was really Chris's house, is this road here. And like, I know it might be hard to see on camera, but this actually goes down the mountain and lets out on the driveway there. It's very steep, but this was definitely the first thing that they used when they were coming up here, when they were originally building the cabin. We would like to take this area back in here, and this will probably be where we're going to be putting the goats in at some point. There's a lot of woods, a lot of cover here, but it's still easily accessible, right? So we could actually clean this up a little bit further. Cats are just having a good old time. Yeah, we can clean this up further, and then what we could do is we could build some shelters here for the goats, right? So that we could, even if it's bad weather, we can just come down here, pull up, take care of them, and go. There's these kind of steps back here, and we weren't really sure how well this was going to work, but it's actually worked out pretty good. We have some green beans, we have some bell peppers, we've got a couple of things that are growing back here, and I know we're starting to get close, to the end of summer here. But yeah, the stuff's been growing pretty well back here actually. Just to show you. Yeah, everything's been growing pretty decently. Bell peppers. So not too bad. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, you can see here I do a little bit of chipping, and I tend to push it all back here into this little alcove here. But I think what we're gonna end up doing is we're gonna probably end up buying a larger chipper at some point. The little one that's on the tractor is just not cutting it. No pun intended. But I think we're gonna get a larger chipper that I can just set right here and just throw the limbing into and get the mulch. You know, nothing goes to waste here. So we use the wood, any of the trees that we cut down, we dry them out. We use the wood for firewood. Or I may actually, in some cases, I'll dry the wood out and I use it for woodworking projects that I have going on. But we also, anything that gets limbed off of the lumber, we mulch, and we end up using that around the trees, the plants, things of that nature. All right, so now we're starting to head up towards where we're planning on doing our garden. And we have some pretty significant plans here. And you can tell Vanessa's been, she's been doing a little bit of a garden, but again, we haven't been here that long. So we didn't want to go crazy this year, but we probably will next year. But you can see here, I've been clear cutting, and I mean, this was stretched all the way out to here. So I've actually worked all this back already. The plan is to keep going. And there's this thicket that's running all the way up to where Chris's house is, but the plan is to cut all that as well, and really drive this down the hill and clear out all this young growth. And then the plan is that this hill right here is going to get a ton of sunlight. We're going to fence this in, okay, all the way down the mountain here. And it is, it's a significant amount of land. It's gonna be more than what we need for, you know? So the fact that it's more than what we need, the idea here is that we're going to put in a regular garden for us that's gonna be our family garden. Ideally, we're gonna get to a point where we can have a year's worth of food out of the harvest that can feed all of us. So that's me, Vanessa, Chris, the kids, and you know, we'll get all of that stuff taken care of. Ideally, then we're gonna have a market garden a little bit off to the side. That's gonna be stuff that we can take to the farmer's market. That's stuff that we're gonna be selling, you know, as part of the homestead as a business. And then ideally, we wanted to have a couple of buildings down here too. We want to do a large hoop house so that we can get an early jump start on the season. Virginia's kind of I feel like it's a great place to live, but and the reason being is because you get to experience full-fledged 4 seasons here. So the idea would be that you put a hoop house in, you can get things started in that, and then kind of get a jump start on the growing season. Gives you more harvest, you know, obviously is one of the benefits. Something else too is we'd like to put a really nice greenhouse down here too. Something that maybe we're doing just herbs or seed starters, things of that nature in. So you know, that'll be a pretty cool project, putting in a cement slab, you know, going in and building an actual greenhouse. And we might have a couple of little storage buildings down there too. Ideally, we're gonna have a really nice fence in here with some different gates and access points, but this way we can kind of keep the animals out, keep the deer out, you know, keep them out of our grocery store. But we thought this was a great position for this too, because you can see here, this is our house, right? And if we switch it back around this way, not sure if you can see it back in through here, but there's Chris's house. And so the nice thing is, you know, Chris could technically get up in the morning, come over here, hop into the grocery store, get himself some food, cook at his house, or come over to our house and we could just have a family breakfast. But it's pretty neat because you'll have direct access to it from right outside your door. I know that you all have seen this. This was some of our earliest videos, but we do have, let me back this out a little bit. We do have a wood boiler. This is our primary source of heat for both houses. There's a pipe that runs underneath into each one of the houses. And I've been going through and I've been cutting some firewood. I'm a little short on what I need really for the season, so I've been really amping it up. You tend to want to have all of it cut well before now, so it has ample time to dry. So we may end up having to go cut some of the dead standing trees to make sure we have enough for the winter. But we've been using this. I replaced the fan and the blower in it near the end of the season because it kind of went out. But ideally, this is going to be taking care of both of us, both houses for the winter time. Here we're just a stone's throw away from Chris's house. Out of privacy, I'm not going to go into the house or show anything there, but I will show you kind of the outside of the house. He has a very nice, we call it the cabin, but I mean the reality is this is a really nice house. And Chris has a detached shed here too, so he's got some of his tools and storage and things that he does. But you can see he has a really nice little front yard. He's got some fruit trees growing over here. I'm not sure if Chris is going to want to keep those or if he's going to want to move them. And he has a bit of a turnaround here. So you kind of come up this road and it kind of hoops back around and goes back. It needs a little bit of work, but that ain't nothing a layer of gravel won't take care of. Chris is close nearby to our well house. And I can take you up there and show you that. So yeah, this is our well house. This whole unit detaches in case we need to get into the well for some reason. And you can see kind of the inside of the well house. We have a iron breaker system that helps flush iron out of the well. And if you're not familiar, this is a compressor, so it's got air in it. It helps with pressure. So it pulls out of the wellhead, feeds it over to the treatment system. That gets rid of the majority of the iron. And then you can see here we have a tank here, which is the water softener, and that treats the water for both houses. So it's pretty nice. We have actually really good water here due to that. I will take you down here, because I think it's important to show this area kind of along the side of the road. One thing that we've been considering doing is possibly clearing this out and putting a large structure building in here, and then this is where the sawmill is going to go. We did buy a Wood Miser sawmill that's supposed to be here in January or February. And the idea is what we'd like to do is maybe clear this out, put it here, and then we have easy access to bring logs up to it from either here on the property, or if we end up engaging with some local company. A lot of times companies that do like tree trimming businesses and lumber cutting around, you know, like if you have a storm and you lose a couple trees at your house, a lot of times they don't have anywhere to take that lumber, so they end up cutting it all up and not doing much with it. So sometimes you can get a hold of those companies and say, hey, you know, if you bring them up here and just leave them, I'll take care of your waste for you, and then, you know, we can mill it and do stuff with it. Something too I wanted to show is you can see there's a bit of a path back here, and this goes back a little ways, and again it hooks down after a while and goes down to the back down to the road. I think the idea here is that possibly somewhere back in here we may end up doing our pigs and having easy access to the pigs. And they're close enough to Chris's house. If he hears something, you know, if there's a bear or something, Chris could come out and help take care of them. But, you know, another option here, again, you know, when you're looking down through here, and I don't know, let me see if I can't get this up high enough. I don't know if you can see that, but it's pretty, it goes down in here a little ways, and it's not so steep that you couldn't get some pigs in there and get them to kind of root around and get into stuff. But it, you know, just another option. I know you all have probably seen this if you've been watching the show. We have, you know, a lot of wineberry and blackberry plants here, and I'll post a link to our where we were doing some foraging. But yeah, there's a lot of different diverse life here at the property. Meow. Meow. You try to stay away from those kittens. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and take you all down through into the woods that we have behind the house. And this is what makes up the majority of the property, is the forest that's near us. And you can see here the road, the path down here kind of splits. It goes to the left and it goes to the right. Now we only own a little bit down here to the right, and then it's our neighbor's land that we join up against. But really there's kind of a property line that's running all the way up through the woods here, okay? And then it's kind of hard to see because it's so thick, but this just goes straight up, and we pretty much own everything that's up on the top of this ridge, and possibly even over top of that. I have not had an opportunity to go hiking, but we'll probably end up at some point having a survey done just to make sure we know exactly where the property boundaries are. But I'm not gonna take you over to the right out of respect for my neighbor and their privacy, and I don't want to go on their land. But I'm gonna go here to the left, and we'll go check this out down here. And you can see down this way, the creek is down that way, and it runs right through our land. So there you go. At one point we thought about putting the sawmill down here, and using like one of these flat areas down here to do the sawmill, but you know, the more I've been thinking about it, the more I've been convincing myself that maybe up towards the top of the hill, like I stated earlier, is going to be a better spot. And you can see here, I haven't been down here in a while, but there's some trees down. Looks like a pretty large tree back here in the background fell. So I won't be able to drive all the way back in here. But I mean, there's some firewood right there I can cut. But yeah, you can see here, I mean, there's a lot of really tall trees. The wind gets going, these things fall. We've had a lot of rain lately. So there's definitely a lot of factors involved here. But I'm gonna go ahead and turn the side-by-side around. This goes a ways too. It goes up to the top of this hill, and I think our property line's over on the other side of this hill a little ways. Yeah, our property line, I believe, is up on the other side of this hill. And it runs down and back up through the mountain, like I said. So the majority of our property is this strip that runs way out this way into the forest, and it goes quite a ways. But yeah, I'm gonna go down here and turn around, and then I think that's about it. I mean, you can see we have plenty of woods down here, you know, for hunting, camping, wood gathering, foraging, and we have access to the creek. There's a bit of a washout here too. At some point we may end up coming down here and digging this out and putting a pond in, but you know, we have to continue to allow the water to go through for the watershed. You can't just block water, and you really shouldn't, even if you could. But yeah, we're gonna probably do some stuff down here too, and have a really cool like fishing hole, swimming hole, you know, you name it. But yeah, let's go ahead and get this thing turned around, and we're gonna head back up to the house. I did want to show you just one or two places here inside the house, kind of a behind the scenes. But here is my desk, and this is my workspace. This is where I prep our videos. This is where I work my full-time job during the day too. So this is kind of an area that I wanted to show you. This is up on the second floor of our house. You can also see I have a lot of hobbies. So you can see I have like my drum set, my guitar. I know you've seen my guitar build videos that I did with Chris Godby over at CGMA Guitars. But yeah, so this is kind of my work area slash play area, you know, that I spend a lot of time at. All right, and I know a lot of you have seen this in one of our earlier videos where we were working on the workshop, but this I think is another important aspect of where we live. So we kind of, and you have to excuse the mess. Like I said, we've only been here a little while. We're still trying to get things sorted out, but I kind of have a workspace area down here. Just various things, you know. I've got a lot of tools laying around right now. It's kind of a hot mess, but you know, we're putting in some storage. We're going to try to get things organized back here. I think this is going to be more of a metalworking slash electronics area that I'm going to try to set up, because if we go this way, you'll see we have a root cellar. I think I've shown this before too. So we do have a root cellar. We have stuff that we're storing in here. I think at some point we're going to get rid of a lot of these pantry items, put those somewhere else. But yeah, so we've got this area that we've been storing stuff. But what we did here too is this is my workshop for my woodworking. And you can see here I have a lot of stuff. I've got a lot of little projects that I've been working on. I don't always film all of those. You let me know if you all would like to see more woodworking videos. I'm happy to do that. We tend to try to keep the video content diverse and centralized around the homestead, but yeah, this is my other kind of play area, workspace. It's getting a little bit better, you know, a little bit over time, but the idea here is that I'm gonna end up putting in workbenches that I'm gonna be building myself and cabinets along this wall. Probably have somebody come in and redo our electric, put a sub panel in so we have better electric down here. I'm not sure what I'm doing with this wall yet. I'm probably gonna get a bigger bandsaw. I'd like to get something that has a wider blade, is a little larger to handle larger logs. But yeah, this is all kind of temporary. I think I mentioned during our workshop build video where I was trying to put this plastic up to keep the dust out. I think the plan is that we're gonna put some walls up at some point and kind of wrap this in, and then put some, I was thinking like a double door here so that we have easy access in here in case we're bringing lumber in. But yeah, that's about it for the workshop. I do spend quite a bit of time down here doing a lot of different woodworking projects. All right, folks. Well, that is it for the tour. We hope you enjoyed kind of going around today with me as I was kind of pointing out, you know, what we currently have, some of our future plans, what we're planning on doing with it, and you know, just got kind of a good feel for kind of the land here and kind of what we're, you know, trying to accomplish. You know, I said this earlier, but if you liked the video, please consider clicking like and sharing it with your friends and family. That really helps us out. And also consider subscribing. We come out with new videos every Thursday, and we try to do different video content every week. So you might see where we're doing some cooking, you might see where we're doing gardening, stuff with the animals, woodworking projects that I'm working on. Maybe repairs and upgrades to things here at the property. It's a little bit of everything, and the reality is that's what we do. We tend to do a little bit of everything here. So, all right, thanks for coming along, and as usual, don't forget to make time for dirt time.